Fire Emblem Engage is a celebration of the Fire Emblem series. It has all the same overused story tropes that the game always has. It's got maps from previous games as paralogs, and most importantly, it has the lords from all the other games come back as equipable items. The game is built completely around this fact, from the story beats to gameplay. It just wouldn't work without the emblems, so I decided to ignore the emblems entirely, and beat the game without them. Hardly the most original idea for a challenge, but I wanted to give it a go ever since I first played the game. So what does this challenge really mean exactly? Well, units cannot equip emblem rings or bond rings, which means they don't have access to emblem weapons, or skills, and stat boosts. Furthermore, they won't be able to increase SP from combat. Not that SP will be useful in this run, because the only way to inherit skills is with an emblem bond of 5. I also won't be able to engrave effects onto my weapons, as this is something emblems give me, and using anything related to emblems is a no-go. As for units that join with an emblem, they will have to just sit and watch while the rest of the team completes the chapter. And I think that about covers it, so let's begin. We begin by naming a lair and choosing our difficulty. I chose to play on Classic Maddening, with random growths, because I felt the game will still be easy even without emblems. And it would give me at least a little challenge to beat this baby game. As usual, I overestimated myself, but I'll get into that later. Alir and a bunch of strangers he hasn't met yet fight in a hallway, then we have to kill Ivan Ooze. This is a heavily scripted tutorial fight that forces us to engage with Marth, so I'm not counting it for the run. We wake up to 2 stalkers staring at Alir, then run away when they're caught. They end up bringing in some muscle who explains that we've been in a coma for 1,000 years, and that Alir is their god's child. Alir, who has amnesia, instantly believes this and joins the weirdos to find his self-proclaimed mother. On the way, they are attacked by the Ooze-men. The freaks around Alir want to fight, but Alir thankfully has the realistic thought to run away. Unfortunately, this is a Fire Emblem game, so Cain and Abel rush into combat with no thoughts on how they'd even win. Now we get our first real chapter. Not much to say though. Fight a few guys, then we get another cutscene where Alir activates Marth, and with their combined strength, they still struggle to fight one guy. Sounds about right. Back in the game, they reposition Alir so he can make use of the new emblem powers. But sorry game, I'd fail the challenge if I did that, so Alir ran away so Jagan can deal with it. With the chapter complete, we see Alir's mom, who's a dragon lady. Neat! We go back to her place, and she wants to fight. Unfortunately for me, I still can't take Marth off of Alir, so he has to just sit around and watch while Mike and Lucas and Forsyth deal with his mother. The second phase has her engage with Sigurd, which lets her Tokyo drift around the map, and due to my carelessness and forgetting just how much range she gets now, she attacks Alir, who isn't supposed to see battle this chapter. Luckily, at least, he didn't get to attack, so it didn't really affect anything, so we complete the chapter and move on. While taking a snooze, Alir has a funny dream where he is evil and just living his best life. Look at that happy face. Enemies break in and attack Mama Dearest, so we begin our counterattack. After a turn, we get introduced to the Blue Ranger and his lackeys, Discount Barth and Female Gordon. With our combined might, the enemy stood no chance, and we complete the chapter with ease. We luckily made it just in the nick of time, because Mom is still alive and she's dead. Cool. After watching the 5-minute cutscene of the woman we've known for like half a day, dying, we get the Sigurd ring, which will stay safely in Alir's pocket, and set out to help the country of Firenay, whose capital is under attack. When we get there, a village is under attack, and is defended by Celine, Princess of Firenay, and her 2 retainers, Chloe, and a voyeur in heavy armor. The chapter starts with the retainer stuck in the middle of the map, and Celine wearing the Celica ring, which means she's useless. I have a bad time, and with some poor placements I lose almost 1/3 of my team. Alfred, Boucheron, and Chloe all die. None of them would have been great for the late game, but really could have used them now. So to make up for my mistakes, I power leveled Nisha using Chain Guard. Big thanks to popular superstar XL Emblem for discovering this technique. Now I have an Alan who is still not good, but at least can take a few hits. After the chapter, we meet Vale, and she saves Alir, then runs off. And the only key thing he can remember about her is her feet. We move to Firenay Castle, where the Queen is being questioned about jewelry. This chapter's not that bad if you know what you're doing, although without a Sigurd ring to run over the enemy, I had no shot getting the treasure back before the thief. I do lose Etier pretty early on, but what can you do? Say what? I can rewind time to get her back? I can do it at least 10 times a chapter, and it's so early on that I could have even just restart? Yeah, but like, I already invested a minute of my time, I can't quit here. And I might need those rewinds later. After flawlessly winning an argument with myself, I complete the chapter with no important losses. After that, I decide to do Jean's paralogue because I need new units to bolster my ranks, and a small child from a village sounds like the perfect candidate. This is one of the easiest chapters to beat, so I had no trouble. And after most enemies are dead, I train Jean in a less efficient chain guarding method than the one I used with Kent. I don't go crazy with it, I only get him to level 10, but things are already looking more hopeful than with Ford. Beginning the next chapter, we meet Unica, and with a quick zappy and hiya papaya, we start the chapter. Alir and Unica start separated from the rest of the team, and after you kill the first bandit, Unica becomes as useless as a koala bear, because the Makai ring gets auto-equipped to her and I can't use her anymore. Worse than this, I neglected to level up Alir, so he's as strong as wet tissue paper. So in the end, because of poor planning up to this point, I decided to let Unica use her Men's Staff to heal Alir, as he deals with the enemies one by one. Normally, she can't use that Men's Staff, and it's thanks to Makai ring that she can use this, so this breaks the challenge. But I didn't feel like replaying anything, so I pushed on anyways. I am as disappointed in me as all of you. Oh, and since I didn't mention them, the rest of the team had no issue on the bottom half of the map. Once we complete the chapter, we meet Vale again, and I take a reasonable amount of photos of the CG image. Back on Somniel, we get access to the well, and I decide, since this game gives me the DLC stat boosts, whether I want them in this playthrough or not, that I would toss them all down the well for random goodies. After throwing away our fortune, Alir decides to go to Brodia to collect more rings, but instead I make the executive decision to recruit another child soldier. This one comes wrapped up in a box. After killing all the bandits and saving Anna, she joins my army and most likely extorts money from the rest of it. But hey, what are you gonna do? Kids, am I right? After the chapter, I was awarded with 1 Master Seal to promote a unit, and despite Kieran being at level 20 with 0 room for growth and needing it the most, I chose Jean and promoted him to High Priest because he's actually useful, unlike Sully. Lastly, I finalized my preparations to head out to Brodia. But that's all for this video, so I'll see you next time.